Many celebrities over the course of history have had an entourage of some kind, but Elvis Presley's entourage was something else. From the earliest days of his career, the legendary rock and roll singer kept a bounty of friends and family around to help him with the minutiae of both his day-to-day life and his career. Given his preoccupation with his image, Elvis made sure all members of his entourage were adorned with matching black suits. This led to them becoming known as the Memphis Mafia. As Elvis's career dwindled, his father made the financial decision to fire many members of the Memphis Mafia. Two of these former members wrote a controversial tell-all book as a result, and it was published 2 weeks before the singer's death. According to daughter Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's distress from being betrayed by his former bodyguards contributed to his death. Join FactsVerse as we take a look at why Elvis Presley's daughter claims the Memphis Mafia killed him. Lisa Marie Presley was born in 1968, the daughter of Elvis and Priscilla Presley. She lived with both her mother and her father at Graceland until her parents separated when she was only 4. From then on, Lisa split her time between her mother and father's respective homes until the latter's death when she was only 9. During the time she grew up at Graceland, Lisa Marie claims she grew to be somewhat fearful of the Memphis Mafia. From the moment of her birth until the time of her father's death, Elvis was falling down the spiral of substance abuse towards his inevitable demise. According to Lisa Marie, her father's entourage mirrored much of this wild behavior. They not only enabled it, but often acted worse than he did. Lisa Marie claims her days spent with her father after her parents' separation were filled with plenty of fun times, but very little discipline. Lisa Marie had essentially free run of her father's Memphis property, allowing her the opportunity to see and experience plenty of things a child her age shouldn't have been seeing. According to Lisa Marie, she was well aware of both her father's and his Memphis Mafia's debaucherous lifestyles. She claims there were always Playboy magazines and remnants of drug abuse scattered around the property, and there was a never-ending rotation of promiscuous women. Elvis passed away August 16, 1977, after a long battle with decreasing health and increasing substance abuse. By the time of his death, his infamous Memphis Mafia had dwindled down to just one member, with most of the others having been fired by Elvis's father as a result of the singer's increasing financial troubles. While Lisa Marie doesn't have many kind things to say about any of the former members, there are 2 former members in particular she holds a serious grudge against. Those are Sonny and Red West. Red West was a childhood friend of Presley's and one of the first members of the Memphis Mafia. As Elvis got more and more famous and needed more hands to help out with his extravagant performances and lifestyle habits, Red brought his cousin Sonny into the mix. Years later, both Sonny and Red ended up being some of the members of the entourage fired by Elvis's father due to a supposed lack of funds. Sonny and Red claimed the real reason they were fired is because they tried to put their feet down and force their boss to give up his substance abuse habits. After being fired, the two conspired together to create a tell-all book, spilling all the personal details they'd learned about their former boss during the time they were his 2 main bodyguards. Sonny and Red West's tell-all book ended up being released only 2 weeks before Elvis's death. Elvis was apparently made aware of the book and its release, and he didn't take the news well. According to Lisa Marie, the shock of this book being released by 2 of his former closest friends played a big part in his ultimate demise. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already, and stick around for more about the Memphis Mafia. Following the release of the tell-all book, as well as Elvis's death only 2 weeks later, numerous former members of the Memphis Mafia went on to give interviews and release books detailing private things about the singer's life that Lisa Marie Presley sincerely feels have hurt her father's posthumous dignity. While Lisa Marie may hold the largest grudges against Sonny and Red West, there seem to be no former members of the Memphis Mafia that she has much respect for. Not only does she despise the Memphis Mafia for selling out her father and harming his dignity after his death, but she also feels many members of the entourage played a significant part in enabling the unhealthy behaviors of her father that led to his downfall. In the years following her father's death, one thing that has greatly upset Lisa Marie Presley has been the release of the 1999 True Hollywood Story episode The Last Days of Elvis. The episode consisted predominantly of fresh testimony from former members of the Memphis Mafia, and the stories shared therein were expectedly salacious and demeaning towards the late Elvis Presley. Once again, Lisa's outrage stemmed from the fact that she felt the Memphis Mafia members contributing to the program were not only harming her father's legacy posthumously when they should be trying to maintain his dignity, but were also hiding their own culpability in their former boss's demise. According to Lisa Marie, it was during her viewing of The Last Days of Elvis that she came up with the song Nobody Noticed, which later was released on her 2003 debut album. The song is about how no one close to Elvis stepped in to help the singer during his slow and painful demise. Instead, they simply enabled him or turned a blind eye. Lisa Marie claims she was emotionally distraught after viewing The Last Days of Elvis, and that writing and recording Nobody Noticed helped her a great deal with the pain. When members of the Memphis Mafia are confronted with the notion that there may have been more they could have done to save their former boss from his demise, they tend to disagree. Elvis was a man who didn't like taking no for an answer. While Elvis's late father claimed he fired members of the Memphis Mafia because his son's budget simply no longer allowed for their employ, those same Memphis Mafia members allege they were fired for the sole reason that they said no to their boss. The higher Elvis climbed towards the top in his career, the more alone he became. Even if members of the Memphis Mafia had wanted to try to save Elvis from the downward spiral of his substance abuse, it's hard to think what any of them could have done to do so successfully. The members of the Memphis Mafia started out as close personal friends and family members of Elvis, and slowly grew to include more suspect members as Elvis became more famous. Some of the first members include Elvis's cousin, Junior, and Gene Smith, as well as the aforementioned childhood friend Red West. Sadly, Red was one of the former members that seemingly turned against Elvis in his later years, after bringing along his cousin Sonny. By the time it was all said and done, a late addition to the Memphis Mafia named Billy Smith was the only remaining member left under Elvis's employ at the time of his death. The Memphis Mafia had a catchphrase, and that was TCB, taking care of business. These 3 letters could be found on plenty of Elvis merchandise and were also adorned on the private jet the Memphis Mafia used to get around the world. All the members had unique roles. Sonny and Red West functioned predominantly as bodyguards until their firing in 1976, but other members, such as guitarist Charlie Hodge, found himself sometimes being a touring musician for Elvis and sometimes being his stylist. According to former members, none of these roles were explicitly assigned. The members just knew they needed to become attuned to Elvis's needs in order to stick around. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think the Memphis Mafia could have gotten Elvis to clean up? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.